Good morning everybody. Saturday morning, the 4th of April I believe. Not that I'm really paying that much attention to what time it is or what day it is. I certainly am not what date or what day of the week it is. So here we are in Lanark Loch. If I can turn this camera, I'll show you what I'm looking out into. So just before I started this Facebook Live, I took 5 minutes and just appreciated the sun as it was beginning to rise over the loch. It's glorious, I love it. And so, hi Laurie, how are you? So, day 3, fear of change, and how challenged our constructs are becoming by this unprecedented situation that we are finding ourselves in at the moment. So, I usually just speak offhand, but so fear of change. So I was thinking, as I do, about what would be a good thing to talk about this morning, and I've been qualified. I've been working for longer, but I've been qualified as a psychodynamic counsellor for 13 years maybe, and I am also an ILM certified coach. And whether I'm counselling or coaching clients, one of the major things that people want is freedom. They either want freedom from their current relationship, looking for financial freedom, looking for freedom from their job, looking to find some freedom as a parent or a partner, husband or a wife. And it questions why, when so many people that I've worked with over the years, this is an underlying theme that they're looking for, do very few of us attain it. Now, a lot of you that know me, I do follow. I'm not religious, I wouldn't say, but I do follow Christianity, and I follow the Word of Christ, and I love the Bible. I think it's a phenomenal book, and I think we can start with the book of Genesis. Okay, so good morning. How are you? Are you well? Super. I think we can start. So many people that I've worked with, they're looking for freedom from their mindset, freedom from their addiction, freedom from their job, freedom from certain things within their life. Yes, so little people manage to attain the freedom that they're looking for. So, biblically in the book of Genesis, this is a concept that I've thought about for well over a decade. And in the book of Genesis, it's a temptation story but firstly, they speak about this kingdom, this Garden of Eden. And the sense that I get of the Garden of Eden is that it's a place where we are completely free. We're in oneness. The animals would come up and be beside us. The little birds would probably sit in our head and pick away at the nits that we've got. And I just get the feeling that the Garden of Eden was a very wonderful place to be. And then we disobeyed God, and we went into we ate the fruit from the forbidden tree. The snake, the serpent tempted us. You will not die. You will be like God, and your eyes will be opened. Okay, and from that moment in the book of Genesis, what was the very first thing that both Adam and Eve did after they ate the fruit from the forbidden tree? Well, the very first thing that they did was they covered their nakedness. Okay, and someone would cover their nakedness because they were experiencing a feeling of shame. Good morning, Sandy. I'm wondering if you're out on the North Sea in that fishing boat. And right, so back to covering our nakedness. So we want freedom, but we're full of shame. right? So they were in the garden, they disobeyed God, they stepped into the fall, it was called, and we stepped into duality. And we covered our nakedness through a feeling of shame, okay? So if we look at the world, counselling from a cognitive behavioural perspective, there's been massive research in a cognitive world about thoughts, okay, equal feelings, equal action. So a thought is an electrical component in the brain. That electrical component offers you a prescription, which is a feeling, and that feeling then promotes us to action, okay? So thoughts equal feelings equal action. So if we go backwards from a cognitive perspective, good morning Ross, there's a pressure need for a bit more of the metaphysical, mate, keep it up, right? Okay, I'll keep talking about the metaphysical world, Francis, and you and I are hopefully going to be catching up soon in the couch once I've formulated the questions that I have to ask you, kind sir. So I'm looking forward to doing an interview with you, Mr. Divine. Right, so if for thoughts, feelings, actions, if we go back to the biblical perspective of the creation story, okay, where we disobeyed, we ate the fruit. So the very first thing that we did was an action, which was covered our nakedness, okay? So the feeling was shame. The thought was probably judgment, right? So this is not new, okay? This stuff's been going on as far as we've been told. Whether history's real or not, I'm not here to debate that, but the Bible's a pretty old book. It's older than me and I'm 47-year-old, so it stood the test of time, right? And I guess my grandfather was real, and I've got my grandfather's Bible, and that was given to him in 1918, so that's a long time too. So thoughts, feelings, actions, and this has been going on for a long time. This isn't anything new that we're talking about here, okay? So from that perspective, what is it that's stopping us or holding us back from having this freedom that the majority of us want? Either freedom from our life, freedom from our thinking, freedom from our work, or financial freedom. So for me, what's holding us back is shame. And a lot of us would rather be masters of our misery than creators of our choice. Because in a lot of ways, being masters of our misery, it's what we've known for so long. It gives us a sense of control. So as we're speaking about the fear of change, and for this purposes of these morning videos I'm doing, it's the fear of change that the coronavirus, this lockdown, has put us into. And again, without looking at the negative, there's lots of positives. Lots of people are becoming very creative. Lots of people I'm seeing putting up pictures of cakes that they're making and artwork that they're doing with their children. And it's really nice that they're getting back to a place of creativity and connection. So this is the complex part of it, which the brain's a pattern recognition device. I said that yesterday, and a lot of people come back in and sent me emails and private messages rather about what does that mean. The brain is predictable. It wants predictability because it makes it feel safe. But paradoxically, when we get into predictability, we actually don't feel safe because we're not moving. So the paradox of the brain is it enjoys predictability, which it gives it a sense of safety, but it also knows that it needs to be moving forward as well. So the brain's caught within this dynamic of not wanting to change. So as we're moving forward, the brain starts to is it starts to do this predictability, pattern recognition behaviour. Going to your work every morning at 8 o'clock, the institutionalisation of your mind, or the alarm goes off at 6 o'clock and you're washed and ready and in the car by 7 and you're at your work by 8:30, and then you go to work and you go through and you follow what your boss tells you to do, and then you leave at 5 o'clock and you drive home. You see, that's quite a lot of predictability that's going on, right? And that's been taken away from us. So the first few days it was all right. Now we're starting to feel a little bit edgy. But imagine how long I've been doing the same thing at the same time for years. This walk round Lanark Loch with the dog, it's predictable. I've been doing this for 15 years, right? So it's forged a pathway in my brain. So neuroscientifically, it's kind of created grooves like an old-fashioned record, for those of you that are old enough to do that. It's created a pathway. Right, now, even if you walk round the loch in the opposite direction, or indeed you miss it for a day, you feel out of sorts. Right? So imagine that pattern, that one singular of walking round Lanark Loch for me, that it's created and forged all these neural networks in the brain, and they're firing off like Spaghetti Junction, right? Imagine it's like a ring road round London, all these different roads. And along with that, there's many components. There's an electrical component, there's a chemical component, there's a familiarity component, there's a myriad of components involved in that. Okay, so as you start to change a pattern, it feels very, very uncomfortable at first. It feels uncomfortable because it's different. But what we've got to do, whether that's getting off the couch and going to the gym, whether that's giving up alcohol, that's what my evening talks are on. These talks are predominantly for a psychological purpose, in order for us to, in order to help us navigate the not going to work, the not seeing friends, the not being able to get up and go to the supermarket or do the things and go to the cinema and go and meet your friends, or whatever it is that you choose to do. That's where people were struggling. That's where the messages I were getting and what I was seeing with the clients that I was finishing off with that were in this place, and the new clients that I've took on via Skype. That's what they're talking about. Okay, so as you start to do it, this is the way that I describe it. As we start to make and forge new neural pathways and neural connections, it's like an old-fashioned flint system. Okay, so the neural connections that are already there, it's just we've not focused our attention and energy towards them, so they're not lit up. So for me, what's very lit up in my brain is walking round Lanark Loch, right? Been doing it for 15 years. It's a habit, okay? So as I start to forge a new pattern, which might be, let's say for an example, walking my dog down the beaches and round New Lanark, that would be completely new because I don't do that very often. It's as hard work. It's not like a lighter. It's not like going into a modern shop and buying a cigarette lighter and lighting the hay. So imagine the neural networks is like dry hay. It's not that simple. It's hard work. It's very, very difficult, and that's why so many of us resist it. In any level, whether that's an addiction or changing your job or your relationship, or even walking my dog in a different area every morning. And I'll make every excuse not to change, because this fulfills my needs, but does it? Okay, so you've got the flint, you've got the old flint system, and and what you start doing is you start hitting the flints off one another, and you wait for a spark to jump off it and land in the hay. Now, sparks may jump on the hay, they may not, and the ones that land on the hay may not take hold, but you desperately want them to take hold. You desperately want to enjoy the gym, but you're not. You desperately want to enjoy your sobriety, but you're not. You desperately want to enjoy walking your dog in this new area, but you can't. Even a new car sometimes. We hold on to the old car. Oh, what's the point of selling it? It's still good. And then we get the new car and we think, was it really worth that much more money? Does it really do that much more than the old car? We fall in love with it for a moment and we fall out of love with it very quickly. Right, so tangent, stay focused, Josh, right? So you start to put you start to create new patterns, and that's like a flint. You desperately want the flint to take hold on the hay and start burning, but it's not. But you've got to keep persisting with it, and that's why if you go to the gym and you're starting to change a new pattern at the gym, it's better to go and have a personal trainer. A personal trainer's like having a sponsor in AA or a group of people in AA. It's all very, very similar. I've had many, many messages about the addiction talks that I'm doing because I'm doing the 12 steps. It's great that people are feeling the 12 steps and they're getting into it. And I've had 9 people want to commit. I'm hoping for 10. I love that magic number of 10. Let's get them in. But a lot of them are asking, can I do it on my own? No, you can't, right? And if you're really unmotivated and really unfit, you've been lying on the couch for years, and the doctor's turned around and says, right, we're going to have to try and reverse this type 2 diabetes, right? And you stoat down to the gym yourself. How proactive are you doing that? What if you actually then go to a group and like a group of people that's doing a spin class rather than just going and walking on a treadmill? Okay, and you meet somebody at the class that you actually connect with. So that gives you some motive and some drive to go and do the spin class. Get a personal trainer so that they're holding you accountable. Because in the early stages of change, it's very difficult to hold ourselves accountable, right? So this is fear of change, right? I'm back to this flint thing. I just keep going off on a tangent. That's my ADHD. So, focusing on the flint hits the hay. As soon as you start to see a spark occur, as soon as you start to see it come off and land on the hay, and you think it's going to take, that's where you've got to be really in the moment to let the flints go, to go and put a little bit of protection round about that so that it doesn't go out, and you just gently start to blow on it, you nurture it, you nourish it, and that little spark comes into a little bit of a flame. And the more you nourish it, that flame becomes a fire. The more you nourish that, that fire will become a burning inferno. And before you know it, you're getting right into it. You're absolutely loving it. You're getting so much from it. You're feeling the benefits. You're reaping the rewards. You're doing what you can do, right? You're in a new-found habit. The longer you do it, the more you're building it, the more you're creating resilience around it, the more strength it's taken, the more it's taken hold of you. Fantastic. That's ace. Okay? Now, I see it like a dimmer switch on a light. So your old patterning, be that on the couch, be that alcohol, be that addiction, be that a toxic relationship, be that whatever, it's all the same stuff, okay? And those that would turn around and say, it'll no kill you as quick as drinking alcohol, really? No worries, it might kill you inside, it might not kill you on the outside. All these destructive behaviours, patterns in relationship, the relationship patterns that we have with ourselves, they're killing a part of us inside. A lot of us now through this quarantine is starting to see just how much the difficulty a lot of people are in now is actually, they've been at their work, they've just been in a habit, they've been like a zombie, they've been programmed to go and do it. Now that's been taken away, they're starting to go through the pain and the suffering of it not being there, but they're also starting to look at going, did I really like that? So people are starting to question these things, which is fantastic. But unless we set up networks to assist people, mentor people, and help people gravitate towards a better future for a better outcome, they're going to stay stuck, unfortunately. Okay? So, light switch, dimmer switch. So, if alcohol and going to the pub's been your thing, that's been like a 100-watt bulb, okay? They going to the gym, spending time with friends, being effective, getting up at sort of 6 o'clock in the morning before sunrise to walk your dog, that's all new. That dimmer switch hasn't even been turned on yet. In fact, in a lot of cases, there hasn't even been a switch, there hasn't been a wiring, there hasn't been a pendant, there's certainly not a bulb in it. So in a lot of ways, we've got to create that room, build that room, put the wires in, put the switch in, put the light bulb in, and then at least start to humour walking towards it to turn it on into a new pattern of behaviour. So, the fires took place, the hay's burning, the new set of neural networks is on. What we've done is we've went over to the new, healthier habit and we've turned that on and it's now burning brightly. 60 watts for a while, you're getting right into it, you're meeting more people, the people that you're meeting are calling you and connecting with you and asking how you're getting on with your programme. You're starting to become a winner rather than a loser, okay? So you're in that position and the old pattern of behaviour, be that the destructive relationship, the lying on the couch, the alcohol, the drugs, whatever, what happens is that dimmer switch gets turned down. But that's had a room that's been built. That room was built and had its foundations, and it took a real stranglehold for a lot of years, for a lot of us, okay? So it doesn't go away. Now, this is where we have to be vigilant, because the moment that we step on the energy of the old behaviour, it doesn't take all that creation, it doesn't take all that work, it doesn't take all that battering two flints together, waiting for a spark. It's like throwing gasoline on a naked flame. The minute you know, for someone in recovery. And you know what? There's actually a spot just round there that, and it's like self-torture, there's actually a spot round there in the loch that smells like crack cocaine some mornings, depending what the temperature's like. I guess it must be some chemicals that's coming from a factory over there and coming through a river, and it's all kind of orangey colour, and I get a right whiff of it, right? Well, where does my brain go to? My brain immediately goes to thinking about crack cocaine, doesn't it? Right? Boom, I'm there, right? But because I've got people that hold me accountable, and I'm sort of regularly aware of, I'm sort of thinking, I've got a bit of a thinking brain now, the first thing I don't go, but if you're vulnerable, what are you going to do? You're going to phone the dealer. But likewise, you know, you've had a toxic relationship, and you and that person might have had a song. The minute you hear that song in the radio, where does your brain go to? Your brain immediately goes to being with that person, right? So, this is why a lot of us fear change, okay? And I hope that's been helpful. That was me answering some of the questions which had been put to me in private message. And I really wish you a blessed day. And it may be even just to start to become mindful of our patterns of behaviour that are no longer serving us, and wishing to take a new approach through this time, through this coronavirus, about starting to make changes that are going to that we can implement, that's going to keep us a lot healthier and safer through these times. So I'm wishing you a really good day for Lanark Loch. I will do another one tomorrow, and I'll formulate some questions for my my dear friend Francis Devine, who is we're going to look at socialism and stuff like that, and how this coronavirus and the economy and all that, and he's really educated, so I'll drop a wee line on when Francis and I are going to get together on FaceTime and do a little interview type thing. So have a great day. I could talk to you all morning, but I'm going to go and have a bit of me time and a bit of meditation up round the corner here, and think about those that I'm missing right now. Have a great day. God bless.